Today's activity, 2 parts to the peer review. Self-assessment of your revision strategy. So I'm going to give you a list of really commonplace revision strategies here that are built on or give you better ways of talking about and thinking about what you need to do, specifically 1 or 2 key things. Then you're going to put those in your own words and offer them to a peer and say, I think I need to do this. Give me some feedback on this specifically. So that's going to be very much like peer-to-peer. And then a structured feedback, answering a set of questions that's more like my intervention, like how I'm going to read the drafts at this point. And eventually you'll be at that same level later in the semester where you're asking the same kind of questions about your drafts. So the first part, the self-assessment, 15 minutes. I said 15 to 20, but it only took 15. I think 15 is better. So you're going to copy and paste this list below, like this is common revision strategies, based around, it's really small on the screen, but you have to do it on your own computers here anyway. Focused on the big picture, like do I need to focus on the big picture in some regard, returning to the assignment, or am I meeting the requirements of the assignment overall? Is it addressing an audience? Many of us will be looking at this as a revision strategy, focus on development. Does the paper have enough supporting detail? Does it relate back to the thesis or support your thesis? Or a focus on structure, or a focus on paragraph structure. Those are all common points of emphasis at this point. So you're going to read through and answer those questions kind of briefly, and then just select 2, possibly 3, that you think are going to guide the first round of feedback from your peer. So it looks like this. You're going to ask, and I don't want this to be really complicated, you're going to read each other's papers twice. The first time based on what you want. So you're going to create your own kind of question here. The feedback I'm looking for is based on revision concerns like what you figure out after your self-assessment, A, B, or C. Okay, and I'll come around and talk to you through those in that 15-minute period. And then simply ask for the editing help that you already figured out you want. I know I need help integrating citations, so give me a hand with that, or editing for commas or whatever. Pragmatics. Okay? Then we're going to quit after that. You can have some conversations just person to person. That usually goes pretty well for most people. And then we'll do a second reading where you read the paper and simply answer the more structured questions, 6 of them that I post here. The first one, really, if the thesis paragraph is worth 50 marks, we really want to comb over that in a lot of detail. Second question about audience. And then 3 and 4, I could be sort of a micromanager on the paragraph level, I know, but these are common feedback questions that students want, and they make sense to me too. This is more like, tell me again in your own words what you think the strongest part of the paper or the weakest part of the paper is. And then 5, give a counter-argument to a part of the paper that you think might not be that persuasive. So that's where you really want to try to be critical. Like, I don't think this really particularly makes sense to me. I don't think your argument about empathy is that interesting or important. 1 round where you're actually trying to be a little bit harsh there. And then finally, you're going to go through and grade it point by point based on the following 5 components, which are taken from our rubric. So you'll grade based on purpose and structure, whether you think it's an A at this point, a B, or C, or a D. The thesis paragraph at this point, whether you think it's an A, B, C, or D, etc., etc. 5 versions of that. And the key there is, most people, I think that over this pretty quick. Like, if it's a D, or you think it's just non-existent, say, yeah, sorry, it's a C minus at this point, or whatever, it's a D. Don't worry about being kind of harsh when you're grading an unfinished product. If you think something's already a B or an A, then great. It's going to give us points of emphasis to focus on, right? If you're scared of that, here's how I feel about it when I'm grading it as Charlie Sheen. C minus, I'm startled, confused. Something's worth a D or less. I'm drunk and angry, waving my hands at rage. If it's a C, yeah, it's good enough. Kind of indifferent, also being a bit of a snob. If it's a B, I'm looking sharp and happy. Everybody should be happy with a B. It's good. If it's an A, I'm also drunk again. This time probably also on some serious drugs like an 8-ball. And now I'm winning. I'm ecstatic at how well you're doing in your course. All right. Self-assessment first. So what you're going to do first of all is grab these revision strategies, copy them and paste them on your roster page. And we'll spend 15 minutes going through those, and you can turn that into a question for your peer, and then we'll start the peer review process, and that'll take us through the rest of the class. Any questions? Done.